Good morning, guys, and once again, welcome to our alternative English class. And our topic is the daffodils, and today is the second part. From this class, we are going to discuss more about this poem, The Daffodils, a very nice and a very beautiful poem written by William Wordsworth. And we will continue our discussion in two or three parts, and this is the first part of our discussion. Okay, so let's start. After reading the poem, can you guess what a daffodil is? After reading the poem, can you guess what a daffodil is? A daffodil is a yellow colored attractive flower which is grown abundantly in the Lake District of England. It's a yellow colored flower and very attractive. And this flower is grown abundantly in the Lake District of England. Now the poet says, he wandered lonely as a cloud. What does it mean? In the poem, he starts the poem with the words. What were those words? I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. Now, wandered lonely as a cloud. What does it mean? It means going from place to place without a special reason or purpose. What does it mean? It means going from place to place without a special reason or purpose. Got it? Next comes, the poet says that he saw 10,000 at a glance. What does it mean? And you will find it in the second stanza. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Now, 10,000 at a glance. The poet uses 10,000. The poet uses 10,000 to describe the innumerable and unending sight of the daffodils. Here, the poet doesn't mean to say exactly the figure 10,000. By 10,000, he wants to say that the daffodils were innumerable or countless. Now comes, the poet says that a poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. The poet says that a poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. Now what do you think jocund company means? Literally, jocund company means cheerful companion. Cheerful companion. In this poem, when Wordsworth mentions jocund company, he is referring to the sight of the countless daffodils which seem to be dancing in delight. Which seem to be dancing in delight. Now here is the question, is he happy or unhappy in such a company? Obviously he is happy in such a company. There is no reason to become unhappy by sighting such a beautiful scene or such a beautiful landscape or scenery. Right? Now look at uh, the number fifth point. What does the poet mean when he says that he gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought? What wealth the show to me had brought. Now, how does the scene benefit him either materially or emotionally? I give reasons for your answer. Let us know. The poet acknowledges the fact that despite gazing at the daffodils for a long time, he fails to realize what wealth he gains by the sight. He fails to realize what wealth he gains by the sight. But it is not until much later he realizes that the scene provides him with invaluable moments of joy. The image of the golden daffodils helps him achieve peace and happiness during many of his lonely moments and pensive moods that he finds himself in. Now, how does the scene benefit him either emotionally, either materially or emotionally? The scene benefits him not materially but emotionally. Right? Now, what does vacant and pensive mood mean? Vacant and pensive mood. This is used in the last stanza of the poem. For oft when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fails and dances with the daffodils. Vacant and pensive mood means the thoughtful and contemplative mood. A thoughtful and contemplative mood. Now, what does the inward eye mean? What does the inward eye mean? He says that they flash upon that inward eye. Inward eye means the mind and its thoughts, recollections, and imagination. Inward eye means the mind and its thoughts, the mind and its thoughts, recollections, and imaginations. Right. What is it that flashes upon this eye? What is that? That flashes upon this eye. Your answer is whenever the poet is in solitude, his mood becomes vacant and pensive. That moment, the image of countless daffodils, golden yellow in hue. Hue means color, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. A beautiful scene that the poet saw beside a lake once wandering is what flashes through his inward eye. Now, do you think the poet is affected by it in any way? Obviously, he is. The image of the golden daffodils helps him achieve peace and happiness during many of his lonely moments and pensive moods he finds himself in. It fills his heart with pleasure. It has become a permanent source of joy for the poet. So he is affected by this. Now comes why was the poet why has the poet described solitude as being blissful? Very important. Why has the poet described solitude as being blissful? Solitude means the state of being lonely and in general sense can't be blissful, isn't it? Solitude means the state of being lonely and in general sense can't be blissful. Now you can just imagine if you are lonely, there is no one around you, how would you feel? Obviously you would not feel happy if you are surrounded by only silences. So in general sense can't be blissful. But for the poet it is blissful. Because he has a point. But for the poet it is blissful because the delightful sight of the daffodils flashes upon his mind during his loneliness and fills his heart with pleasure and becomes a source of permanent happiness. And that's why the poet describes solitude as being blissful. Understood? But this is not the end. We will discuss more about the poem because it's a nice poem. There is so many things to discuss, and we will discuss it in, I think, one or two classes. Now, about the central idea of the poem. The central idea of the poem. To listen carefully and attentively, this is very much important. If you understand the central idea of the poem, that means you have understood the poem itself. Here is the explanation, or here is the answer. One of the most accomplished and influential of England's romantic poets, William Wordsworth, through the poem The Daffodils, wants to say the readers that nature is a permanent source of joy. Nature is a permanent source of joy. It not only provides joy and happiness till the time one is watching, that means present, but also for the unlimited period. That means in future also. Whenever some recalls a beautiful scene of nature, the profundity of joy is the same as that of the time when someone watched it. That means it leaves a permanent imprint, or you can say natural beauty imprints on our mind. This poem shows poet's love for nature. Now this is the central idea of the poem, and as I have already mentioned that Wordsworth was an avid nature lover, so it's very much natural that nature will play a big role in his poems. Right, so this is what for today's episode. We are going to continue our discussion on this particular poem more, and through this discussion you can understand more about the poem, which is very much important for you. So be attentive while listening the class, and you have the opportunity to listen the class repeatedly until and unless you realize or understand what I try to explain you. And if you unable to understand any part or the whole part, you can ask me questions. Two or three students are very much involved in asking questions, which is very good. I would like to say this is important, because if you ask questions more, if you ask questions, that means you have the appetite for knowledge, and which is important for every student. So come with open mind, asking questions in case of any difficulties. All right, so this is what for today, and see you in the next class. Until then, stay safe and take care of yourself. Thank you.